If you go to, shameless plug, if you're on computer, preferably Windows for fonts, you can go on www.charliecoons.com. And the little iPod in the corner, it'll play One World if you click it.
Hell yeah.
Go on my LinkedIn, you'll find it. And
shameless plug.
I'm working my way to 500 connections here.
There we go.
Most people plug their online courses, so that they can pose with rented Lamborghinis. I'm plugging my LinkedIn.
Hey, howdy, hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Mike's Monday Jams, the official podcast for music appreciators everywhere. Today we're going to be talking about the song Walk of Life by the group Dire Straits. Let's get it.
Ready to do the walk of life. Ready to do the walk of life.
Monday, March 16th, MC and CC on the track today. You might not. You've been on a couple of different podcast things, vlogs, and
I guess
you've been featured a couple times in episodes.
The vlogs.
Yes.
I was in the Vegas and I was in the Oasis vlog.
Yes, those were quite the trips for sure. And I think we featured you in like some snippets and some episodes. But I have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Charlie Coons today, Mr. CC. It's March 16th, and we're talking about Dire Straits today. Sir Chuck, is this your first time being on a podcast?
It is.
How do you feel about that?
It's amazing.
This is what dreams are made of?
Yeah, it's what dreams are made of. I've never had the annoying bro thought of like, dude, we should make a podcast. And the only thing I've ever done even close to this is, in just back at college, me and Sarah would record reaction videos, and some clips of that went out on like her Finsta, and then we did a trading card opening one time, but nothing this structured and this professional. I mean, this set. And just all of the backdrop and stuff, we're on some real shit now. And I can't wait for all of my family members and their friends to listen to this on Monday. And I really hope I don't say anything too egregious.
Our 12 listeners will be, I'm sure, thrilled to see some variety on the set here.
It's going to be, I think, maybe a little bit more mellow. If I had to take a shot. Not to take any jabs at the normal co-host, but I don't know if I can keep up with that level of energy.
Fair enough.
My firm belief was that there was only so much air in a household,
yes.
And that's why she was kind of maybe a little more outgoing, and I was a little more reserved, just because she used up that oxygen. So
very fair point. But yes, nice change of pace today. We've got a good one. You said you did the trading card thing. I'm curious, what were the trading cards? Were they Pokemon cards?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Were they My Little Pony?
Yep.
All right, we're off to a great start.
She sent me this video on Instagram. It's like, so shout out if anybody watching this podcast has a connection to the company Kayou. It's like Kayu. It's a Chinese word that's been Romanized, and I can't say it correctly.
Perfect.
Anyone has a connection on that, hook Sarah Emmendorfer up.
There we go.
Because oh my god, they're expensive. And she sends me, she's like, they've got a new pack, and I'm like, I don't have any money.
I mean, how much a pack are we talking?
I got a pack of like 13 little like mini packs. That was like after taxes probably $51. That was her Valentine's gift. And it was one of those things where I had to recognize in my head I am a grown man. The week before, I had opened my Roth IRA and made my first Roth contribution.
Hell yeah, up top. Let's go retirement.
I have a savings fund. My investments are diversified.
There we go.
I have a career plan. And yet I'm staring down the buy it now button on My Little Pony trading cards, all in the name of love. And I kept texting her. I'm like, do you really want these? Do you really want these? And what I was wanting was for her to maybe relent or talk me out of it. But no, she was steadfast in it. And
Pedal to the metal.
we got them and we opened them. And I gave one to Dad because he got a new guitar. And he keeps buying these guitars in these rather sort of pastel colors.
He does. He's got some. I like the collection he's building so far. It's quite nice.
Rather vibrant, you know.
Indeed.
He's challenging a lot of these blues lawyer conventions because instead of buying these like PRS book match tops that are like tobacco burst, he's like, I'm gonna go and get a blue one. I want bright blue. Give me a bright red.
He's going against the grain.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one day he ends up with he ends up with a pink one.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody in the family's definitely got to own one. I love, and I think maybe him and I have talked about it at least, and maybe you feel the same way, but I do love, especially Fenders that kind of, suit like an old classic car color.
The seafoam green with the matching headstock was great.
Yes.
I wanted
color.
one of the master built Jeff Beck Strats that they did.
Yes.
They still do runs of them, but like I think Mayer had an Olympic white one that he used. If you ever watch him on the Battle Studies tour, it has the Heartbreak Warfare sticker on it.
Yep.
That's a master built Jeff Beck Strat.
Damn.
And a lot of the time when they do custom shop builds of signature Stratocasters, I'm going to go see too many words come out, tongue all twisted, but what they'll do is they'll take the signature off the headstock and they'll move it to the back, so it's a little harder to identify.
Yes.
And it was kind of an interesting thing because you think about the people who are buying them and you'd think they want you to scream the logo, and then you realize a lot of the people who are going to be playing those are the artists themselves, and it's rather self-aggrandizing to have their own signature plastered
a little bit
on the guitar.
A little bit.
So, yeah, I'm eventually looking at getting the faded black tee for myself.
Oh yeah, the Silver Sky.
Yeah,
good choice.
I like either that or the Venetian blue, one of the 2024 colors.
Both great choices.
I've been playing I got an SE recently.
Yeah, it's a good little. It's a good instrument.
It's a great guitar, and I'm probably the only person who's gone down from because I played the core a lot, and then I went down to the SE because I was moving away to college, and I just being in a dorm, you don't have renter's insurance and stuff like that, and also it was my dad's, and he wants that, so he puts around with it on the couch, and honestly, they're not. The SE doesn't feel like it's a cheaper guitar that's trying to emulate, the core Silver Sky. It's kind of its own animal. It's a little more springy, maybe a little more rugged. It feels like it's like if Apple made a guitar. It's I've played a few SEs. They're all very consistent. They're all very much built to a standard. And it's good standard, so
absolutely
can't complain about it. But
absolutely.
There's the guitar rant.
Well, we've got a good one for you today, and this week it is St. Patty's week on Tuesday, so all hail St. Patrick and all the good things Irish. But it's also my dad's birthday this week, so shout out to my dad. Happy birthday, Dad. Today we're talking about Dire Straits. The other day we had a talk about what to talk about for a little bit. And this one stood out to me in that talk. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. If you're a regular of the show, Em and I call them Foat's favorites of all time. So this is definitely among that list for me. But I was tempted. We did almost talk about Sunset Grill today from a very, very interesting fact that you had. Would you like to share that now?
So in my Spotify top 6, you open the app and you see the 6 albums you've been listening to the most. That of the Building the Perfect Beast has been up there for months.
Sure.
Going on a year,
Great
honestly.
Choice.
And, I don't listen to the Boys of Summer that much, except when it's summer or it's kind of like August or September, which is really when that song is meant to be, because it's about the end of, it's in end of summer or whatever. But the 2 tracks that are like standouts on that album for me are All She Wants to Do Is Dance and Sunset Grill. And I was listening to Sunset Grill walking on my campus at like 11:30 midnight, and it was kind of drizzling rain, and it's this perfect neo-noir Blade Runner-esque scenic thing, and the vocals are great, and it's like it does what I think all great songs do, where if you start making up a music video in your head for the song, then it's accomplished what it's supposed to do.
Indeed.
If you
start telling the story a little bit.
Yeah, if your brain is automatically filling in the gaps of like they give you a setting, they give you context, and then you start kind of painting a picture in your head. It's what a good book does. It's the same effect. I was listening to it, and I skip around a lot with songs, and I got to a part of Sunset Grill that I generally have skipped off, and it's this horrendous just grating trebly synth trumpet solo at the end that's not in time, and it has absolutely none of the production effects that would be necessary for it to fit within the mix. It's almost like half a beat behind. It's like someone got out a Yamaha DX7 and they went on like the first preset and they're like, I'm gonna make fun of it,
this'll work. Yep.
And I looked it up, or actually I didn't look it up, I just was reading about it later, the production of the album, and there's a lot of stars on who produced that album.
Of course.
Danny Korsmar, I'm trying to think of who else was on that. Mike Campbell, obviously.
The
How can I
Heartbreakers.
miss that? Yeah,
Absolutely.
And apparently for one song, a musician I loathe, and I'm sure this is going to cause some strife, but Randy Newman was on Sunset Grill, and he was the one who added that solo. And if I loathed Randy Newman before,
it just went to the stratosphere.
Oh my God. I don't like to hate. Hate is an active emotion.
That is
I hate that man for what he did to that song.
I had never really thought about it. I mean, I've always thought it has been not a great solo. It's a phenomenal song, phenomenal album. But you telling me it was Randy Newman the other day, I just feel like there was just something that clicked in my head, and I was like, huh.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like the cheesiest thing you could get out of that era.
Absolutely.
And I think it's less about even the solo itself. Is like the solo is bad. It's not Nick Jonas at the CMT Awards bad, but it's bad. But it's the fact that this was 1985, and there were so many other people you could have called. You could have called Greg Phillinganes. You could have called Quincy Jones. You could have called Steve Lukather. You could have called anybody
literally
else
anybody else
to put a solo on that song, and he called, I'm gonna get my friend Randy.
Well, I suppose.
Hey Don, I got a fun groovy solo for your song. My friend Donnie asked me to put a groovy solo on his song. There you go.
I suppose Don has a friend in Randy, but
you don't even have to play this. No content ID necessary.
But yes, we're close to Sunset Grill, but Dire Straits come up in our conversation and have not been featured in the pod era of the show. They have been featured once in a pre-pod era for So Far Away, which is probably my favorite pick of theirs. It's a good song, but this is one worth talking about. So that's what we're doing today. The artists, though, you might know them primarily as being formed by the Knopfler brothers, Mark and David in particular, but they're English. I feel like I didn't learn that till somewhat recently. And I say somewhat recently, I mean like within like 5 or 10 years, because I don't know if it's just the like muggy way Mark sings, but I just like didn't think they were British.
His Scotsman comes out when he's doing quieter songs. I found. Romeo
fair.
and Juliet, it slips out. Brothers in Arms, it slips out. Especially if you listen to the album, which is a guilty pleasure of mine, On Every Street with Jeff Porcaro.
Okay.
There's songs on there, Calling Elvis, Heavy Fuel. He kind of uses this raspy voice on some of that stuff, and the lyrics aren't great, but his singing certainly it tunes into that a little more. But when he was doing like Sultans of Swing and stuff, that's easily you didn't have to think about him being English.
And like, I mean, there's a lot of bluesy, there's a lot of like almost country-esque like style and theming to their whole shtick. So I just assumed
Brother in Arms was a national.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
No, I just assumed they were American, but they are not. Yes, he is from Scotland. yeah, they formed in London in the late 70s in southeast London in particular. And they had the help of some other cats, of course, but a fellow by the name of Pick Withers was their first drummer, more of a session player, but I think he was pretty instrumental in getting them started because I think he'd had like 10 or so years of experience of playing with some artists. I think I saw Jerry Rafferty, a couple others. So he'd been around the block and seen the industry, so that was probably instrumental in providing them some context. But I thought this was funny. Mark was an English teacher at the time, and David was a social worker. I'm like, could you imagine having Mark Knopfler as your English teacher?
He looks like an English teacher.
Pretty much, yeah, the receding hairline.
He was a little scrawny guy.
Absolutely.
But he never looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I've always liked about Mark Knopfler is that any sort of like coolness that comes from his persona is simply his talent.
Yes.
Because otherwise he is just like, oh, I'm Mr. Knopfler.
Yep. Mm-hmm. He does seem very humble and reserved in that way. He's definitely not in your face. But he's famously left-handed, right? But plays right-handed so he can have more control on the vibrato, right?
Yeah. I've said this as a righty who plays guitar a lot. I guess because I'm not left-handed, I can never understand why being left-handed wouldn't actually be an advantage. Because the more you're doing the more technical part, which is like the
bends,
and the
pulls.
fingering with your left hand.
Yep.
But I suppose it's just a matter of like everything assumes that you're not going to have as much precision in this.
Yep.
So you kind of, I don't know. I guess it's just something about the techniques of it, and that's why they flip it around.
Yep.
But Mark's playing specifically in the earlier days is influenced a lot by country and folk.
Yep.
Because he used to play gigs in jazz and country clubs, and he'd just do what he told him to do.
Exactly. A lot more on the twangier side, for sure.
I mean, there's multiple albums of him with Chet Atkins.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're fantastic.
Absolutely. But before they were Dire Straits, they were the Cafe Racers. The name change allegedly came from a suggestion of Pick Withers' roommate or flatmate at the time, since they're British. But the story goes is that they sent their original demo tape to MCA Records, and MCA was not interested. But then eventually they took to sending it to a famous BBC DJ named Charlie Gillett, and they claim they just wanted advice. But I'm like, you're sending a demo tape to a DJ. I feel like there's some undertones and maybe some implications there.
Sometimes
like, hey,
you have a motive.
Absolutely. But I respect the hustle, and I respect the attempt, because clearly it got them somewhere. The demo tape had Sultans of Swing on it, and DJ Charlie loved it. So he started playing it on the radio, and it eventually got them a deal. So can't go wrong with that. Can't argue with that hustle.
I think if you want to hear the original demo, it's not available on streaming, but if you want to hear that version, you can go. There's a documentary about Mark Knopfler's just guitar playing from like 2012 that's hosted by John Easley, who was their bassist. And John Easley kind of, after Dire Straits broke up, took on the role of like the town historian, and he started to do a lot of stuff about that. So he hosted that. I think it aired on Sky One. It's on YouTube, but it's played in that.
Good stuff. So they got the deal. They eventually made their first record, the self-titled record that's famously got Sultans of Swing on it. Does it have Skate Away on it? Is that on the first one?
Skate Away is on
Making Movies.
Yeah,
that's right.
The red one.
That's right. Yes, Making Movies
with Solid Rock.
But I was surprised to find that at the time, and this is what 77, 78, it cost them £12,000 to make. Which, if you do some math and some conversions, that's 83 G's in US dollars in today's money. That's a very expensive first album. Like, could you imagine?
They believed in it.
Exactly. But, like, could you imagine, like, and I know you write some stuff, obviously, you play, and you're pretty good at both of those things. But could you imagine, like, putting together an album right now, like, even if it was just, like, with a group of guys and, like, session players or whatever, and, like, could you imagine coming up with $83,000?
As much as I want to say I couldn't, The culture of it nowadays, and why I found it like harder to even break into it, is just you've got a lot of people who's like go to Nashville and their parents like bankroll them.
That's true.
And you've got, I mean, that's even how like Taylor Swift and stuff came up.
Yeah.
Was dealing with that. I think the days, and it's kind of, it's gotten better now with the internet because anyone can publish what they want to publish, but a lot of the time in, you know, record production music, you're going to get a lot of we'll call it session help on that first album.
Absolutely.
Versus, you know, pulling the mayor and like just ripping your own EP on a Tascam.
Absolutely. But no, I just, especially for the era of the 70s, I was just like, wow, that's an expensive first album. But I think it's a testament to, I mean, Mark's bit of a perfectionist. You know, it seemed like he was always caring about cutting edge technology when it came to the recording process, a lot like Steely Dan in that way. So I don't think it totally surprises me, but I do think it is a testament to their willingness and quality of effort to the crowd.
Album that we're listening to, I think they ended up going with 4 different session drummers.
Indeed, yes.
Over the course of making it.
And there was like 4 or 5 sessions, right? They did like 2 in Montserrat.
They did. I want to say they did most of them in Montserrat. It was like 8 weeks.
Yes.
And then they finished the recording and did
New York,
drum
right?
overdubs at the power station in New York.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's a testament to them as artists. They are very, very willing to hone in their craft.
Yeah.
But this first album actually got them to open for Talking Heads, which I'm like, man, like what a bill! Like it's 1978, you get Dire Straits opening for Talking Heads. That was probably a hell of a show.
Yeah.
But it also got them a U.S. deal. It even got Bob Dylan's attention. He invited Mark and Pick to play on the album Slow Train Coming'. So this first album got them to some stardom right away.
It was like 81, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like the tail end of his Bible thumping phase.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but still a good song.
Yes.
So.
But then they'd go on to amount some more success, a couple more albums. Charlie mentioned some lineup changes. That was a theme of the group over their tenure and their time as a group. And that's kind of where we find them today after the release of 3 or 4 albums before they go to the studio for Brothers in Arms. And they're kind of on the brink of like massive international success before the release of Brothers in Arms, which of course would propel them into a different level. But as a group, I think they had 2 breakups in total, with the last one being pretty finite and pretty signed, sealed, delivered there. Mark has said he's really, really not interested in getting back together multiple times in interviews.
He just wants to play his country.
Indeed. He just has said that it's super exhausting for him. I think, he was quoted in an interview one time saying that they got to the point where he didn't even know some of the roadies' names, and it was just like too big of a production for him. They didn't even play live for their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, which I think was in like 2016 or something.
Did he go? I don't think he went.
I don't think he went.
I think it was John Easley, and I think it was maybe David Knopfler.
Mm-hmm. But it's him and John were the only original members throughout it all, right?
Yeah, it was him. It was him and John, and they had the hiatus from 87 to 1990, whenever On Every Street came out.
Yep.
And then that album had a great tour. Like if you look up, they remastered it recently. You can find it on Spotify. But the on the Night live album was fantastic, but the actual album that they were touring on was rather poorly received. So that kind of hurt them.
That's tough. But I think their legacy is cemented as, one of the greatest British rock bands of all time, and one of the greatest selling acts of all time. I think Brothers in Arms has sold more than 30 million copies and is one of the most selling albums of all time. And so they've definitely cemented their place among rock and music stardom in general as well. But let's talk about Brothers in Arms. It came out in May of '85. The first CD to sell 1 million copies in the U.S. And the first album ever to outsell its vinyl counterpart, which is pretty notable and interesting. It spent 9 weeks at number 1 in the U.S., 14 in the U.K., and is the 8th best-selling album in the UK history. And like I said, over 30 million copies in total sold. So it's been around the block.
It has.
I would say.
And it was in a lot of like TV shows and stuff at the time, TVs and movies.
Indeed. It won the Grammy for Best Engineered Album at the 1986 Grammys, which I low-key didn't know was a Grammy. I did not know.
I got a factoid for our lovely editor today, which is,
go.
if y'all mess with young Sheldon, as Emma watched on a plane that was supposed to depart for Iceland 3 hours before it did.
She read.
The young Sheldon starts and ends with Walk of Life by Dire Straits in the first episode and the last episode. So we'll throw that in for her.
I've always loved trains. In fact, if my career in theoretical physics hadn't worked out, my backup plan was to become a professional ticket taker.
All right. Shout out young Sheldon.
Shout out YS.
Shout out Texas.
Yeah.
Shout out Soft Kitty.
Shout out the main character being the worst character in the show. I listen. I love that they listen to people and they're like, because everyone kind of like, man, Young Sheldon would be a way better show if there was no Sheldon. And then they did that.
Yeah.
Hey, Gigi doesn't like the new one though.
What's it called? Something?
George and Mandy's First Marriage.
Yeah.
She's not been on it, and it's shocking.
That's too long of a title for a show. I know it plays into the whole Sheldon Cineverse, but I don't know.
The Sheldon verse.
Indeed, but it's too long for a show. So you have mentioned this before we hit record, but yeah, it's one of the first albums to be recorded digitally on that Sony 24 digital tape machine. Again, Knopfler wanted that cutting edge tech. He wanted the first to do it. He wanted to be the first to maximize on the opportunity, and I think that is partially why it was easy to sell 1 million copies of the CD in a new format. It did, funnily enough, though, or I guess interestingly enough, at the Grammys for 1986, it lost Album of the Year to another one of your faves. Do you know what it is without looking at the notes?
Was it 85?
So it would have come out in 85, but yes, it was the 1986 Grammys.
I'm trying to think. So you've got albums that came out in 85. You had 4?
I think so, yes.
4. Behind the Sun would not have won Album of the Year. Maybe it did. Building the Perfect Beast that came out in 84. I know he's going to say it, and I'm going to be like, oh, that's so obvious, but we'll hear it.
It's No Jacket Required. Mr. Collins won Album of the Year in 1986.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Also another great series of jams on that one. That's an episode for another day. We'll have you back. But yes, Brothers in Arms was recorded mostly in a very small studio in the island of Montserrat. Lots of drama with the recording of this. Charlie alluded to some lineup changes while recording. Their rhythm guitar player Hal actually had to leave the band because there were some disagreements about him, and he was spending too much time with his lady.
Yeah, they saw Yoko Ono, and they knew to nip it in the bud. And you're like, hey,
they had to get out while they were ahead.
You gotta either stop with the hanky panky or you gotta get out of these sessions.
Indeed.
And I respect the hustle, quite frankly.
Agreed. Life's a balance. It's the old Tom Haverford quote. Sometimes you got to work a little to ball a lot. It's a balance. You can't
They weren't gonna half-ass the sessions. He wanted to half-ass the sessions, and they wanted to whole-ass
exactly. So
those guitar parts. So.
Started off with some interesting vibes there. They also dismissed the original drummer. Didn't like what he was putting down.
Yeah. The drum tone on this album is fantastic.
Indeed.
And it's not, the thing is, I was listening to it, and a lot of 80s drums and snares are just washed out in reverb. Mm-hmm. But it actually, it cuts through the mix really well. It's obviously processed.
Yes.
There's it's like a little chorus on it or something like that, but it kind of stings the ear a little bit in a good way.
Indeed.
It's crazy because, you are dealing with the album with probably 20 overdubs
Yes.
on its peak songs.
Indeed.
And like 4 guitar tracks at any given time, and yet the drummer still just cut through.
Yep. So they invited jazz drummer Omar Hakim to replace Terry Williams, who was the original drummer. And Omar did Terry's parts in like 3 days initially. I don't think he had a lot of time to sit and play in Montserrat, but Williams actually got credit on today's jam for some of the parts for Walk of Life, but then also the big crescendo at for Money for Nothing, which arguably is one of the most iconic parts of the track leading right up to the riff, right? But that was all that was featured of Mr. Terry Williams. Happy accident with Money for Nothing, right? Sting was there on vacation.
Yeah, he was like surfboarding.
Yep.
And he was like, also, I think Sting was probably one of the musicians that the people that was like being played on MTV in that store, which is why that I think it was also Poison was the other one or
so,
something like that. Just one of those hair metal bands. And Mark was like, "Oh, I want to play. I want Sting to play on this." And then someone's like, "Oh, he's on holiday. He's surfboarding over there."
Holiday.
So they went and flagged him down on the beach, and then he ripped himself off with "Don't Stand So Close to Me" and "I Want My MTV," which, if you haven't realized that those are the same songs, you need to keep up.
Yep.
And that was, and Stig got a fat paycheck for singing the exact same line over and over again.
Absolutely. But I mean, you can't imagine the song without it. It is
Instrumental.
Indeed, it is part of, if not a lot of the reason of what cements its iconic status. I Want My MTV. That is.
I want my that thing.
Yep, that's the one.
Don't put that in the final cut.
But Sting being there actually gave session drummer Omar a job because eventually, when Sting went out on his own, he needed a backing drummer for the touring band, and he gave Omar a job. So I thought that was a little interesting tidbit that I discovered.
Yeah.
Side note: this little studio in Montserrat had a pool. I'm like, I don't know how like any work is getting done here. This is a little remote island. I assume the weather is nice most of the year, and there's a pool out back. Like, man, I would be distracted.
There's a lot of photos of them just chilling out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like, I think maybe it's just you kind of have that morale boost of like you can be working and you can have a little fun.
Indeed. Like things get a little too much, you can literally just step outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably why they didn't have any crazy like rock and roll studio blow-ups in that. They were very cordial and professional.
Some other iconic albums at this little studio Montserrat, Volcano, Jimmy Buffett, Ghost in the Machine, and I believe Synchronicity as well. And Steel Wheels, Rolling Stones, and many, many others.
Can we talk about the fact that Jimmy Buffett might have cursed Montserrat with the song Volcano?
Oh,
because I don't.
This is not something I know.
But Volcano's like, wow, where you want to go when the volcano blows?
I don't know where I'm gonna go when the volcano blows.
And he recorded that at Montserrat, and then like probably 13, 14 years later, was it a volcano or was it a massive hurricane that wiped out half the island?
Yikes.
And they had to have a huge benefit concert.
Damn.
And that's why this station, Air Studios, is currently abandoned as of 1998.
Yikes.
So we really need someone who's on the other side and watching this podcast could ask Jimmy Buffett why he didn't knock on wood when making that song.
Damn. I think he did know where he was going to go because clearly
He got out of there before it blew up.
Jeez, I did not know that. That is pretty wild. But yeah, they had to finish the album in New York at Power Station. John actually fell in Central Park while out for a jog, and then they had to get a session player to finish some of his overdubs on bass guitar. So a lot of drama and a whole intricate thing to this. Yes, they fought this album, but the fight was well worth it. Clearly, given how many copies it sold and how many lives it's impacted and things along those nature.
Yeah, my life was personally saved by this album because I was walking across the street, and this car was coming, and then so the song "Brothers in Arms" actually came and stopped the car and swerved away from me, so I was able to continue living.
Damn.
It was impeccable, and I think that without that song, I would be dead today. So
How about that?
That's amazing.
How about
just
that?
the sound waves kind of push it out of the way. This is a really bad like Norm Macdonald joke, so let's just keep that out too. Y'all want to hear about a moth?
So, not really a concept album. It's like one side is a concept album, would you say? Like side B is
the issue with the song, the issue with the album for me, the only problem I've ever found with it is that the order of the songs, you can't find a good order for these songs because it's like they're so different tonally.
Yes.
This album has Walk of Life and then a very dark and bleak song about the Falklands War.
Yep.
And then also has One World.
Yep, and it's
One
like,
World's there.
How do you put that in one series of tracks? Yeah. I've always thought like it kicks off with So Far Away. Like to me, that's very much like an album closer.
Yeah.
To me.
I think also the way this album was written was I think Brothers in Arms, apparently I read yesterday, it was written in like 82. Mm-hmm. Like these songs were written piecemeal since making movies, or even slightly before that, over the course of like 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
And I think that's why it's not very tonally consistent. Its production is consistent, certainly. I think that it maintains a tonal quality throughout all of it, but in terms of like lyrical content and vibe,
it's all over the place.
It's very schizophrenic.
Quite. That's an excellent word to describe it.
It's great. I mean, I think there's songs on it that have held up better than others, and there's ones that are kind of fun dated, like I just mentioned, One World. If you go to shameless plug, if you're on computer, preferably Windows for fonts, you go on www.charliecoons.com, and the little iPod in the corner, it'll play One World if you click it.
Hell yeah.
Go on my LinkedIn, you'll find it. And
shameless plug.
I'm working my way to 500 connections here.
There
most people plug their online courses so that they can pose with rented Lamborghinis. I'm plugging my LinkedIn. So
how about that?
Yeah,
I think you're our first guest to plug their own LinkedIn. So cheers.
Yeah, well, I think all your rest of your guests actually already have the connections, but I'm over here struggling.
Listen,
I've been at it 7 months. I've got 96.
It's a process. It's a journey.
First you're frolicking and you're having the summer of the time of your life after your senior year of high school, and all of a sudden you're sitting there like a digital age Oliver Twist with a little change cup out there going, "Please, sir, may I have another connection?
Please, I need a job."
Yeah.
But yeah, side B has more of a militaristic focus. A little bit. Takes a turn more for the darker side, especially compared to side A, when you've got, a very bright song like Walk of Life, and also a song about MTV and microwave ovens. So you're right. It does. There's a lot happening for sure.
Brothers in Arms has. People mention the Money for Nothing music video, and people make fun of it. But honestly, if you look at the state of computer graphics in 1985, I mean, Pixar didn't even come out with their first short till 87.
Indeed.
So in my field, it's quite the achievement. Indeed. But the music video for Brothers in Arms is amazing, and I wish they'd do a full 4K rescan of that. Because it's beautiful with the rotoscoped performance, and then I think it's like World War I footage.
Yep.
But also, if you want a quasi Brothers in Arms music video, there was an episode of Miami Vice called "Out Where the Buses Don't Run."
Okay.
And it was this beautifully harrowing story of this cop who had a mental breakdown after he built this whole case. No spoilers for a show that came out 35 years ago, or 39 at this point. And he built this whole case up, and then at the end of the episode, they reveal that he actually killed the guy after, and he just completely wiped it out of his mind.
Drama.
And he thought he was still alive. And they used the song at the end of the episode. And it's this perfect 80s noir thing, and it was considered a turning point for television. So there's plenty of good content that's used the song Brothers in Arms.
Absolutely.
Also used in the final Grand Tour.
Nice.
So it's close to us.
Nice. But yeah, the album produced 5 singles, including today's jam, and let's talk about it. So, almost not on the album. I think the band had to enter a voting war with the producers on it.
The producer was the one who was insisting on it.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
And yes, because Mark didn't like it, right, or didn't want it on there.
Well, it's like, I think if you go back on the Dire Straits discography, there's a lot of songs that kind of have like the like that kind of blues shuffle thing.
Yeah.
So and also, I mean, as we discussed, not totally cohesive with the rest of the album.
No.
And I think he was trying to do something a little more serious, and they were like, no, I think he was trying to do it as a B-side.
For a single, right?
Yeah, as a B-side for a single, and then it ended up being the A-side with One World in the back.
Indeed.
So-
But yeah, almost not on the album. Inspired by, I guess he saw like a picture of some kid playing guitar in the subway, and he was like turned around facing the wall to get better acoustics and whatnot, which makes sense. I mean, you ever done something like that, like sit in the bathroom?
I have sat in the bathroom to get better acoustics, but the issue is I film stuff for Instagram, and maybe I'll play a little at the end of this.
There we go.
But the dumbest thing I've ever done, I think, in that case was like I used to push, if it was nighttime, I'd push my electric guitar up against like a cabinet and like feel it reverberate throughout the cabinet.
Ooh.
Good
tech.
When I used to kind of hot wire a 1/4-inch plug out of my home stereo receiver that we used for like my Xbox, and I'd play the guitar through those. That was fun. No,
You're innovative.
No pedals. No. I've also done it through a car before. I ripped off Eric Clapton doing that. Emma can look up Eric Clapton Top Gear Kia Ceed, CEE''D. She can insert that clip here.
Well, we plugged a lead into the auxiliary socket and asked a local guitarist to try it out.
The local guitarist, but I did that. There's plenty of fun things you can do with a guitar.
Charlie once put a pickup in a ukulele.
The rockalele?
I'm sitting next to a very, very innovative.
I've done some crack shit with guitars before.
Very innovative fella here.
Hi, Tom.
So thankfully, Walk of Life did end up on the record because it is quite the banger. Things I like about it. It always reminds me of like summer, and in this family, there's the tendency of like the summer to be monopolized by Toby Keith and and country songs.
No insult to Toby Keith, R.I.P.
Of course, and I'm fine with it. Like I don't really care. There's a lot of stuff on there that I enjoy, especially Brooks and Dunn.
I loved 2000s Y2 country. I loved it, and I loved all that it stood for. And then I turned 6, and I was like, wait, there are other chord progressions in music. And I love Emma, but she has this mega playlist of probably 300 different songs in that regard. And I can tolerate it, but I just see the light in my dad's eyes slowly drain by the pool once we're through like the 40th one.
Yep.
You'd think his tolerance would grow over the years, but I think his patience has just been like, I'm
a
53. Why am I going to hear this again?
So in the same vein that that is summer to Emma, songs like this are summer to me. It's like this, like Don't Do Me Like That, Tom Petty, like Saturday in the Park, Chicago. Like there's a lot of like old classic dad rock that is just like very, very summer 4th of July to me. And that I would consider Walk of Life to be a part of that. I'd especially like anything that's got that organ tone, and I know this is a synth plugin, right?
I want to say they had the DX1.
Yeah.
During the production, I don't know I think this was a Hammond with a Leslie with synth over top of it.
Gotcha.
Like that was a synth.
Gotcha.
But
anything like that, I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I need to be slurping on a dog and a beer at a game, and it needs to be at least 80 degrees outside.
Yeah. No, listen to this song. I listened to it just like yesterday, or not yesterday, but like this morning. And
At 3 in the morning.
not at 3 in the morning. This was at 9 in the morning.
Okay, good.
This was
Yeah, why don't you tell the show about how you prepared with your sensory deprivation?
So
I want to start by I respect the hell out of this. I've never had a guest put in this amount of
listen
homework.
to the songs.
They're
They're good songs.
I appreciate it.
No, it was 3 a.m. or probably like 2:30. I went to bed at like 3 or something, but I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I just want to listen to the songs.
Yeah.
So I listened to some live stuff. I listened to the Dire Straits remastered live that came out a couple of years ago, and I listened to some. God forbid I mentioned this on this podcast. Dave Matthews, the band, not the solo artist.
So I don't hate Dave Matthews. I think we have a running bit with the Chicago incident.
It wasn't him
on this show, but like there's probably like at least 10 Dave Matthews Band songs I can get behind.
Okay, the thing about Dave Matthews, Dave Matthews suffers the same affliction that Bob Dylan suffered later in his career from like 86 to 90, which is that he realized that his fans were looking for the stupider stuff, and he became a self-parody for a while. Especially if you listen to stuff like when he stopped pushing the envelope live past like 2003. He's moved back to it a little bit, but like I'm not really interested in hearing ants marching. If you listen to the PBS special, listener supported, that kicks ass. Okay, the last 3 like. Pantala Nagapampa and the Rapunzel, Don't Drink the Water, the Central Park concert with Warren Haynes, fire. Okay, and I will fight anyone who comes after that Dave Matthews.
Preach on it.
Like I watched him a couple nights ago on the Colbert Show, and he was doing the issue also with Dave Matthews is I wish he'd just start singing with an electric guitar if he's going to do solo. Whenever he's not singing over a band, he goes up an octave.
Yes. When it is just him, yes, he gets
all like this.
Yep.
He starts singing out of the side of his mouth.
He sounds like 70s Geddy Lee.
Yeah. And he
screeching.
And he's written a song that I actually heard performed live last year called Peace on Earth.
Okay.
And it's a protest song where I entirely agree with the message that he's trying to send. He, not my fave, I fear. I tried to like it, and I was like, this is. I'm just gonna listen to "Don't Drink the Water" again.
He tried. You gave it the old college try.
He threw it up, and he played this song on his Instagram. Just as like a little teaser thing, and I really like that, and he didn't play that one. So
that bastard.
At least when he plays with Tim Reynolds, he's pushed a little more. But when it's literally just him, there's a reason we need a band to be the Dave Matthews Band. Okay, we need.
There's a reason why there's some success that has amounted from the band.
You got to admit though. The fun thing about Dave Matthews is you listen to his solo stuff and you're like, wow, this is like really hippy dippy and kind of really quiet or whatnot. And then you got this guy, Carter Buford, and he comes and he's like, what if I just play like Neil Peart level drumming over this?
Y'all cool with that?
Yeah. And then you had Leroy and Boyd. They were, Leroy, sadly, before his passing he was very great, saxophonist, and he did like oboe and stuff. Boyd Tinsley, probably less consistent. His peak probably would have been like 96 to 05. But then if you look back on like the old D&B Gorge Crew forums, you can see people finding the clips of where Boyd is the most out of tune with the band and making fun of it.
Damn.
And he got out. He didn't get out because he passed away. He got out because there's controversy, and he got involved with it wasn't the Me Too movement because he sexually harassed a man.
Whoa.
So and then Dave Matthews promptly kicked him out of the band.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Smart move for such an act. Yes.
Yeah, they weren't trying to. He had his own like solo project, and some stuff came out. No one really knows where he is right now. He hasn't made any public appearances. It seems like he's just kind of trying to recede from public life for a while because he just was in the spotlight for so long with DMB and his own group.
Jeez. Well, back to Walk
yeah.
of Life. So
there's a lot of history there.
You just mentioned this too, but the backing guitar track is almost like the bass line. It's got the blues roll. It's got that 50s rock and roll to it. You know, it's got that kind of twang to it, which I love. And the layered harmonies and the vocal tracks around, I guess you'd call it the chorus, are pretty nice. And I don't know, there's like I don't know if I get like a nostalgic feeling for an era I didn't live in with this song, but I that's definitely part of my listening experience.
It's not so much you're having a nostalgic feeling for the era, it's just the fact that in your own era this song was still playing. Ooh. I mean, I feel nostalgic. I feel nostalgic listening to, like, you know, Hootie and stuff like that, and early 2000s country, even though I was probably either not born or very, very young when those songs were coming out.
Fair.
I feel nostalgic listening to I just listened to Brad Paisley's Old Alabama.
Ooh, yep.
That song came out when I was probably like 4 or 5.
Yep, banger.
And yet that was playing just on repeat when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's 99. You're 1999?
I'm 99, yes.
1999. Mm-hmm. He isn't 99 years old. If he did, he'd look great for it. But
in a whole different century, 99. Yep.
Yeah, and like, still, you're gonna be like, even if you drove out in the car today and you put on, they have since moved as of like a year ago, which is really annoying. But if you went in and you put on 102.7 The Rock, you probably hear this song.
Very true. It is. Yeah. It is a part of that. You probably even hear it on 104.5 The River as well. It's
WRVR.
It's got that soft rock vibe to it. And speaking of soft rock, I low-key forget this song has an acoustic guitar sometimes. Like, I know it's very much a part of the intro, but like it's just layered so nicely that you can't really, like, your
it's
head,
very underneath the keyboards.
Indeed, head can't really distinguish it. Kind of a baller music video. It's just, you know, a bunch of sports bloopers. I think to play into that, maybe not loving of the fact that it's not as serious as some of the other tracks.
They ran out of money with Money for Nothing and Brothers in Arms.
Yes, the budget was spent.
So they turned off AFV, America's Funniest Home Videos. They just filmed the TV.
Phenomenal. Love it. Love it. Great choice. And it worked. It's an iconic music
Y'all
video.
ever get drunk and look up news bloopers?
Yes.
Because we do.
All the time.
You know the drinks have been flowing when you see the YouTube news bloopers, hippo fart, nut shot compilation. Not to call out anybody.
That's when you know we've had a night.
Yeah.
I sometimes love to just look up concert footage. Just random concert, or sometimes Emma and I'll do like old music videos too. That's another good one to just. It's a fun date night and also just fun night in general.
I'm becoming I'm getting too old too fast. Maybe that's why Sarah's made me watch like My Little Pony and stuff, is because I'm over here like, hey babe, I'm watching this really good Eric Clapton show on the Journeyman tour. Anyway, here's my opinions on bourbon. Don't get that one for me. It's a little too oaky for my taste. And she's like, you're lame.
Wait, babe, come back. Yeah. What do you take of Walk of Life? What are your thoughts on
I love
the
it.
track?
I mean, I think those songs that are just so ingrained in the cultural zeitgeist of America, I think it's like Walk of Life is almost the 1980s American Pie.
Yeah, not a bad take.
In terms of just simultaneously being representative of a culture and also being a part of that culture.
Not a bad take at all.
It's sort of this paradoxical thing of Walk of Life is very indicative of like classic American Reaganite summer, walking around, having beers, going out, playing baseball, and yet also you totally imagine listening to that song within that context.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm getting deep here.
You are. But I feel like that hits the nail on the head, and maybe what contributes to real nostalgia for me when I listen to it, but also a bit of fake nostalgia, or maybe not fake, just like inauthentic.
Well,
nostalgia.
it just captures it well.
Yes, indeed. It is quite a time capsule.
Yeah, I read books about like World War II, and I feel emotions that are being tried to be like, you know, I didn't personally live it, but it still elicits an emotional response. And I think that, especially because the idea of a fun summer where you go outside and play is still kind of a thing.
Indeed.
We'll see how Coco Melon fares in the next few years, but I think it's a relatable experience.
Indeed. Well, that's Walk of Life and why you should listen to it. And the whole album for that part is phenomenal. And even some of their other works are definitely
You should do what I don't know if I ever finished, but no, you should
Oh,
do what
yes.
I did.
Yeah. How you prepared for the show.
So
yes, please.
it was 2:30 in the morning, and I have my sort of budget, I wouldn't say budget, but it's audiophile within reason, which is I have my Sony SDR receiver, which is like Bluetooth and stuff, and then that's hooked up to an old Clipsys, I don't know, can you say Clipsys? Something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Setup, which has been in my 5-point surround, which has been in my house since like 2005.
Heck yeah.
I just inherited it. But I also have a pair, and any audio guy will tell you that this is pretty much all you need, of Sennheiser HD 560s. I don't know, either 560 or 590, whatever. They've been out for like 40 years. And they're open backs. So if you think, oh, I'm going to get headphones so no one can hear what I'm listening to, they will hear what you're listening to. So
don't draw attention to yourself.
Don't be watching anything particularly licentious with these. But, you know, if you're trying to listen to good music, then they're great. But I was like, it was late at night, and I threw it on, and I was listening to the intro of Money for Nothing. I kind of paused it, and I'm like, this is there's so many things happening here. I just need to block everything out. So I turned the lights off in my room. I just shut the door, and I closed my eyes, and I just immersed myself in it. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Love
and
it.
I literally felt like, you know, you feel the goosebumps, and I felt like the Maxell ad with the speakers blaring at me.
Awesome.
And then I'm like, I got to do this with another songs I did with Brothers in Arms, and then I did with Walk of Life, and then I did it with not off the same album, but I did it with Calling Elvis Live 1992. That's
Awesome.
Good. That one's fun because if you go to the end, there's this great bit where it's like Mark Knopfler plays, and then the Laugh Seal guy plays, and then Phil Palmer, who's the backup guitarist, they all play these great riffs. And then the guy who's on percussion just comes in with like a snare and a cowbell. And he just ruins the whole flow. And there's a slide whistle in there. And the crowd has to clap like that was impressive. I can play the slide whistle. I spent 5 hours trying to figure out the licks that they play for that little interlay. I figured that out on my car steering wheel on the way home.
How about that? Wow. But no, I admired the preparation, truly. It is it makes for a better show. I appreciate it.
This is just also stuff, I will say, this is just stuff I like. So
Very true.
I'm gonna know some stuff about stuff I like.
Indeed. That tends to happen with most people. Well, now it's time for the segment portion of today's show. Kicking us off, normally my co-host shares her everyday jam or song that she's been regularly bumping for the last week. What would you say is a song that you've had on repeat for the last week?
Let's go on my phone here. Let's expose myself.
He's pulling out the source material.
Let's pull out the source material on my Spotify because I'm sorry, I'm mobile, so I have to use let's see what we got here. There's some unfortunate. There's a beautiful streak here that was ruined by my girlfriend playing a song that she openly doesn't like.
Dang, that's
she's
tough.
like you eat lemons, so it made me think of this song that sucks, and now I have to have Lemon Boy by Cave Town in my Spotify top 8.
How about that?
And she was like, I was like, this is terrible, and she was like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, all right, but we've got obviously a lot of Dire Straits. Just because I was listening to it last night.
Sure.
What I've been listening to for the last few months, and by the last few months, I've been on this since like December or November.
Okay.
Alison Krauss and Union Station, Live 2002.
Okay.
That's sick. Okay.
You gonna pick a song from it?
I'd say if you're gonna get into this album, either try Ghost in This House or Bright Sunny South. Not just because they rhyme, but because they're great. But also, if we go here, pick from the Dave Matthews Central Park concert if you're trying to like listen to them actually being a real band and not just a sort of middle-aged white man scatting into a microphone. Warehouse, off that. That's good. And I'll do Friends, Lovers, or Nothing off Battle Studies.
Okay. Great pick. Great pick.
Friends, lovers, or nothing. There'll never be an in-between, so give it up.
Now it's time for our major minor chords, a segment of the show in which we discuss our respective highs and lows for the week. What do you got?
Okay, I'll give you my low first.
Okay.
We'll get the bad news out of the way. Car maintenance.
Yes.
Struggles for us all.
Yes, you have detailed your car maintenance struggles of the Saab on your Instagram.
And what's amazing is my car maintenance struggles aren't even with my own car. I have a warranty on my car. When my car breaks, and
It's all good.
I'm perfectly capable of working on a car, but you know what? I don't feel like doing it.
Well, when it's under warranty, hell no.
And I don't want to pay for it, so I just
Absolutely.
take it to the Volkswagen dealer, and you know what? They deal with it.
Exactly.
But
That's what it's there for.
You can't get a warranty, and more importantly, you can't get someone to work on a car where the brand shut down 13 years ago. And my granddad still insists that his backup, not I'm going to say backup because until yesterday it was his daily driver, is a 2005 Saab 9.3. Mm-hmm. And this car
It's a piece of work.
loves to break.
It's a piece of work.
And it's not even its fault. It's so sad because it is a good condition. It looks good. It only has 47,000 miles on it, shockingly. I've done my best to maintain it. It has no check engine lights, no nothing. But he is amazing at finding ways to break it.
Indeed.
So
Every way that you could, and every way that you wouldn't think that you could, he has.
Yeah.
It seemingly has broken it.
Emma, if she's in editing and she sees this, she can throw up the image that I have where I am holding a bumper that I drove to the other side of the state, Johnson City, Tennessee. And I drove from Johnson to Knoxville and then from Knoxville to Memphis, which is probably 9 hours each way.
It's a big stretch.
I found a junkyard because you can't get parts for any of these cars. I found this junkyard, which is this guy called, it's Saab USA, is its listing on Google. And what it actually is this slightly eccentric old man who hoards Saabs in his backyard. Mm-hmm. Nicest guy. And
Clearly has a bit of a specified interest.
He has a bit of a little special interest there, but you know, he funds it. Mm-hmm. And I found a listing for him on Facebook Marketplace, and I bought a new bumper, and I knew it was used. I had to like polish it out and buff it and everything, but I had to get a new bumper for the Saab because IE broke the last one off. Because what I love about IE is whenever he has an issue, he waits till the end of the call to tell me.
Oh, by the way.
Literally. So it was like, how are you doing? Oh, we sent you some money. Oh, you know, we're doing this, we're doing that. We're going to church this weekend. Oh, we got the funeral to go to. Oh, by the way, I ripped the bumper off the Saab. I sent you an image of it. And then he hangs up. And now it's my responsibility to find a cheap bumper for a rare car that hasn't been in production since 2011.
Easy.
And I did it. And I brought it home, put it on. That was in November. So we're here now, early mid-May. He calls me on Tuesday. Well, the tire went flat. He apparently drove somehow well over 2 miles without noticing the tire was going flat. And a cop had to pull him over
To tell him that.
and told him the tire was flat. And then he was finally like, oh, yeah, that feels a little wrong. So he drives it all the way. He gets to work. And he calls me in work. He's like, well, if you could just come in and put the spare on while I'm inside. And I'm like, well, I'll go over when
So you're AAA now, huh?
Yeah, well, the best part was he was like, I told him, like, all right, well, I'll come by when you're, you know, getting off work and you can unlock it and I'll take care of it. He's like, oh, well, there's a spare key in this house. You don't need to wait for me. You can just do it. So I get the spare key and I go to take care of it. And then he comes out and the spare was flat. So we limp, and I thought I had a thing in my car, but it was gone and I need to take care of that. But we limp it to a gas station across the street, fill it up, take it to Discount Tire. Now, Discount Tire will not service tires that are over 10 years old. As a matter of safety, perfectly reasonable. So if the tire was from 2016, they couldn't service it. This tire was from 2010. All the tires were from 2010, in fact. So I had to convinced this man that he couldn't just replace one of the tires and leave the 10-year-old tires on the car. And I did that. Get it home. I drop him off the discount tire. He drives it home. It's probably 6:30 p.m. 4 p.m. the next day, he calls me. Oh, so there was a large monsoon.
It was a lot of rain this week in the Memphis area. A
Trees
lot of rain.
falling, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now understand, this is a soft top convertible. And as another piece of context, they also have a brand new 2025 GLE 350 SUV with a lot more ground clearance and
Quite.
probably much better to drive in the rain.
Quite.
So he takes the Saab naturally to work in this monsoon, and wouldn't you know,
Who would have thought?
water's in the side of the car
Who would have thought?
and on the carpets. And the best part about the Saab is that it has a very expensive and proprietary fiber optic sound system. So there's an amp underneath the floor on the passenger side, which is great because that's where all the water was. So he calls me and he does this thing where he dotes around and he acts like nothing is wrong. And then he's like, oh, by the way, there's water in the Saab. So I meet him like, okay, I'll be over there in 5. So I drive over there and I mop it up as best I can. Then I dry it with a hairdryer. And for some reason, this was just refusing to dry. I got it most of the way. I went over there today, and he said there was like slight musty smell in it. So he had actually done a smart thing, which is just sunny out today. He took the roof down, backed it out in the driveway, let it air out and dry, and that'll probably be fine. If it isn't, I'll just run a steam vac. But that's been my low light.
For sure.
It's going to be hard to condense this segment because there's a lot. But wow. That if y'all want a very well-maintained 2000, well, by me, not by him, but if y'all want a very well-maintained 2005 Saab 9.3 Aero Turbo convertible,
Call Chuck.
Call Chuck. Actually, DM me on Instagram because if y'all have my phone number, that scared the shit out of me.
That would be a little unnerving.
Looking for about 10 grand. Willing to go a little lower. We're trying to. I'm probably going to use that money and buy like a Mercedes SL, like a normal person would drive.
Something a little more serviceable.
Yeah, something I can have someone else deal with. But that's my low light. Highlight, I'm home for spring break.
Woo!
Having fun with that.
Heck yeah. Can't ever complain about that.
Yeah. I've been able to eat food that's not from
Not dining hall food.
not dining hall food.
Sleep
and
in
not
your own bed.
Sleep in my own bed. Dorm situation in my school recently has been a bit iffy.
Yeah.
My dorm caught on fire.
It did with the old AC for
Well,
sure.
old
yeah.
AC, it was 2 weeks old.
Well, yeah, you had like 2 or 3.
I had
units in
4
the last-
AC units in 2 weeks.
Goodness.
And then my girlfriend's dorm, where I normally go, in this case, had mold. So all iffy all around.
Indeed. But you're home for spring
I'm
break,
home,
and that's huge.
and it's huge for the program, quite frankly.
Huge indeed.
And I've had a great time getting some stuff done, but also just being able to like sleep. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm a computer science cybersecurity major.
There's a lot going on.
I don't get to see the sun a lot.
You don't get a lot of idle time for sure.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But I've been doing that. Been playing the guitar.
Phenomenal.
Played a little Minecraft. Y'all ever play Minecraft? Interesting game.
You sound like Barry B. Benson. You like jazz?
You like jazz?
You like Minecraft?
I like how instead of saying I sound like Jerry Seinfeld, you said I
Yeah,
was
Barry B. Benson.
specifically Jerry as a bee.
Indeed.
The best. Here's a fun B movie fact: is he picks out his little outfit at the beginning. He's like yellow, black, and then he wears that shirt the entire movie.
Bro, probably be stanking.
Yeah.
The must.
Also, Patrick Warburton in that movie puts so much effort into the husband role.
Yes.
He sells it hard.
He does.
And then he tries to murder Barry B. Benson in cold blood.
It's crazy.
But honestly,
Crazy film.
might be a little justifiable. If I caught my wife having an emotional affair with a bee,
With an insect.
I don't know where the gun would go. Either my temple or that bee.
Jeez. Well, in an effort to keep going on. I don't really have much for a minor. I feel like it's all been good. Major is that it's getting warmer and starting to feel a little bit more like spring, and that's huge. So we'll take it.
The feeling of the first the first day above 60 degrees in March is amazing. It's like you can be absolutely weighed down by seasonal affective disorder, and it just bursts away.
Indeed.
You got to admit, also amazing that they were able to come up with a disease called SAD. And you know what that disease does? Make you sad. Perfect. Tough. They say I need a medical degree. No, I don't.
He's all good.
Let me work. Let me cook.
We got a doctor in the family. Last but not least, it's time for our honorable mentions, the songs that almost made the cut or follow some or rhyme or reason to today's episode. And kicking us off in that first slot, again, featured in a pre-podcast era, but so far away, it kicks off Brothers in Arms. It's a phenomenal track.
So far away from me, so far I just can't see. So far away from me. So far from me.
Coming in at that second spot, the song that almost made the theme for today's episode, Sunset Grill from Building the Perfect Beast, Don Henley. Great track with the exception of the outro synth solo.
You never see his face, but there is no hiding place. Down at the Sunset Grill. Down at the Sunset Grill.
I'm gonna eventually try to record a guitar solo for that song.
Ooh,
if I
and
can
try to
figure
replace
out,
it.
If I can figure out how to remove the vulture screeches that happened for the last 2 minutes of it.
And last but not least, it's hard not to think about you when I hear this song. And I feel like maybe talking about it today just would have been a little too on the nose.
It would be. That's why I didn't pick it.
So Layla, Derek and the Dominoes is Charlie's theme song.
I like seeing sometimes I'll come up on the pod as a conversation topic, and I think about 50% of the time it's in conjunction to this song.
And that's going to do it for us this week, folks. We appreciate the like, follow, comment, share, subscribe, listen, rating, all that good stuff. Chuck, my man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being here today, and we will undoubtedly have to have you back on a future episode.
Thank you for having me.
It. Yes. How does it feel to have your first podcast?
It's amazing.
In the books?
Yeah.
Would you return?
I would return.
There we go.
Get me on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend next.
Exactly.
I think y'all know them.
Yes, this is the start of your arc.
That's
your guest
I'm one
arc.
step below.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you next week. Thanks, folks.